Well, good morning, St. Peter's. I'm here with Joe. And Joe, what do you do? Who are you and what do you do?
Hi everyone. I'm Joe. Some of you might know me from St. Peter's. I'm married to Simon, and we have three children: Lucy, age 10, William, age 9, Edward, age 5, who are all at Markland Hill School. We live in Bolton. We've been attending St. Peter's for about 8 or 9 years now. I work as a GP in Chorley, so I'm one of 7 partners. In a large practice, we have nearly 18,000 patients and cover a large area. So a very large practice, and I've been working there for the past 14 years.
Fantastic. So you're at the very forefront of what's going on at the moment. But before we kind of get to that, how did you become a Christian?
Okay, so I grew up in Bolton, and I grew up in a Christian household with my mum, my dad and my brother. We attended church. I went through Sunday school. In my teenage years, I went to Pathfinder camps and youth groups. And then I did the confirmation classes and decided I didn't want to be confirmed. I didn't have a faith. So my teenage years, from about the age of 16 onwards, I just rejected God, had no part in my life at all. Went to university, again, having no faith really, didn't believe in any of it. I was more of a scientist, had too many questions. And I was having too much fun as a medical student, working hard, playing hard. Then as a junior doctor, didn't have time for any of that really, and didn't really think about it. I suppose I did go to church Christmas and Easter just for the sake of it, because my parents went. But actually I never looked into anything any deeper. And then 2004, me and Simon got married. We did want to get married in a church, which was quite odd actually, because none of us had ever discussed faith and we weren't practicing Christians. Simon had grown up in a Catholic household, went to a Catholic school and really turned his back on any form of religion because of that. And then when we met the chaplain who married us, we thought we probably did have a faith, but we weren't really that into it. And he was very nice and just asked us to read a few books, the marriage course, various things, and he agreed that he would marry us. But I think back then we must have had a faith if we wanted to get married in a church, because I definitely wanted God's blessing, but I just don't think that I had the time, or I just didn't engage with God at that time. And then it all changed. My first pregnancy with Lucy in 2008, I was actually one of the first cases of swine flu pneumonia, and I was 18 weeks pregnant, and I'd been completely well, and within the space of 12 hours I'd collapsed, having gone to A&E because I felt so unwell, and I ended up on death's door, being ventilated and put on intensive care for 3 days. And it was really Simon was given a 50-50 chance of whether I survived. He was told there's no chance the baby would survive because they treated me initially as if I had a clot on my lungs. So I'd been given various drugs to try and save me. And I was in hospital several weeks, and obviously I did survive. And obviously Lucy did survive as well. But it was a really difficult time, and I had that near-death experience. And when I came round from that, it's like something had just clicked. I was angry at first about what had happened, I was angry about the fact that I didn't know what the effect was going to be on Lucy. I'd had all these drugs, medications. The consultants had said, we really don't know if she does survive. There could be problems, but we won't know, and there's no way of, knowing. So I was quite angry. But over time, I turned to God, I think, and I put my trust in him. And it was a real comfort. And over those months where I was recovering, I don't know, it was like I took one step and God took 1,000 steps towards me, and everything just, that's where I found my faith. And the funny thing was that Simon, who'd never had a faith either, the night that I'd been taken ill and it was touch and go whether I survived, he'd actually text all our friends to say, please pray for Joe. And none of us had ever taught any religion, anything like that. We just, not into that at all. And he found his faith at that time when I was having that near-death experience, which was just crazy, really. And then it really went from then. You know, we found St. Peter's Church a year or so later. We had a really nice welcome from the welcome team. Paul Hardingham came round to see us. We did the Start course, the Alpha course, numerous other courses, became part of a Connect group, and it just all went from there. And then over the years, mine and Simon's faith has just really grown. So I think it was a case of I had the seed planted as a child, and then it all came back. And yeah, it's just amazing, really, when I look back at how I did come to faith.
That's an incredible. It sounds like you know, God's hand was in you, over that kind of period of your life, and I'm always struck by how God turns difficult situations to good.
Yeah.
It sounds like that was a part of your faith journey.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Definitely. It was just knowing that, you know, in those difficult times, you know, having the comfort of God and putting the trust in him that, you know, he does have a plan. And even my acceptance of the situation that, okay, you know, there might be a problem with Lucy, but you know what? God is there and he will guide me through it. It became irrelevant what the actual bigger issue was, that, you know, we could have this, you know, child with many problems, just knowing that God had a plan and, you know, he had it all in his hands.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, that's incredible. And I guess at this time that we're going through with the coronavirus, you obviously talked about how contracting the swine flu was a turning point in your own journey with God. What does your faith mean to you during this time of kind of where we're all in a lockdown and you know, people are struggling, there's people, you know, losing their lives and losing loved ones or getting very sick. What does your faith mean to you during a time like this?
Okay, so I think my faith, you know, putting my trust in the Lord, knowing that everything will be right, is, you know, my faith means an awful lot, because I know that whatever I'm worrying about, whatever anxieties I have, God has it in his hands. And I think if we can keep rooted to that, you know, we can get through that. Also, I think, you know, it's hard at the moment. It's very busy, constantly feel guilty juggling work and the kids. But I think my faith means that I have that almost joy and optimism, you know, that I guess people without a faith don't have, knowing that, yeah, God does have it in his hands. And also it just gives me the strength to go on, you know, each day. And I think that would be difficult at times without a faith. And I think, you know, you can hand over all those anxieties to God, and, you know, you're secure in the fact that God does have a plan and he will make things right in the end. And you just have to go through it and be guided by God.
Yeah, and I guess with some of the situations you're facing, with some of the patients that, you know, you're seeing with coronavirus, what difference does God make in that kind of situation for you?
I think I find comfort, and that comfort comes over to patients, really. And, you know, God will guide us through that situation. As a GP, we deal a lot with end-of-life patients and patients who would never want to be admitted to hospital. And we help make their last days as comfortable as possible. And I think, not worrying about what death means in some of the older people as well. I think some people fear death, and they're afraid of dying, and really as a Christian we shouldn't be. And particularly elderly people who have very poor quality of life, I think that can be a great comfort when you've got a GP who does have a faith as well. And I think, and I hope that brings comfort to those patients at the end of life.
I'm sure it does. Well, absolutely it does. So, yeah. Can I ask, one of the things we're asking of folks when we interview is what their favourite worship song is, or what their favourite hymn is, because obviously when you're in situations like this, we find inspiration and sustenance from God in different ways, from the Bible and things, but and from our prayer life. But we wanted to kind of put a worship hymn or worship song up as a link so that people can listen to it, and you'll be able to click below later on YouTube on that down there. What is the kind of your favourite worship song, or your hymn that kind of means a lot to you, and why? Why does it mean so much to you?
So I have quite a few favourite worship songs, and I think the one I would pick would be dependent on the time of what's going on at the time. And so I think at the current time, with everything going on with the coronavirus and the worries and the uncertainty, the song that I found as my refuge has really been The Lord's My Shepherd, Psalm 23. And I just love the words. I find great comfort in that. The words of putting your trust in God in difficult times, not fearing, just trusting God. And that's the song that at this moment in time means most to me.
That's fantastic. Well, people will be able to listen to that song, as we'll include a link and to it later. The other question is obviously you're on the front line of dealing with the virus and things like that, and as not just the virus itself, but supporting those with long-term medical needs, and even the short-term. Let's face it, bugs don't stop just because the coronavirus is going around. There's still other bugs going around as well. So one of the great questions is as a church and as a body of believers, how can we be praying for you and as you kind of minister on the front line?
Okay. So yeah, it'd be great if people could pray, and I guess there's quite a few things I would want prayer on at this moment in time. In the workplace particularly, where it is very difficult. We've had to completely change the way we work, telephone consultations, video consultations, cancelling everything routine, just seeing urgent patients, working with other practices to form hot hubs, trying to prevent people going to hospital. And as you say, general practice minus the coronavirus carries on. And if we don't see and treat those patients, they will also end up at hospital. So we need to manage that as well. So we can manage as many people in the community as possible. And I think in this country, we are really, really lucky. We have a primary care system. And I think that is going to be part of our saving grace going forward with this coronavirus compared to other countries where they don't have the healthcare system we have. So I'm very grateful for that. And if people could just pray for the healthcare services, for the protection of staff. We are still really struggling with our personal protective equipment. We have it, but it's not fit for purpose and it's not adequate when we are seeing potential corona patients. So just to pray for staff, because the last thing we want is staff going down because we have no workforce. So if we can pray that we can get those resources and we can be provided with the correct equipment, and giving the staff the strength to carry on through this. And then secondly, to pray for all the people out there who are going to be affected by the coronavirus, whether it's themselves, whether it's friends and family, you know, particularly people who are going to have difficult times ahead, you know, potentially succumbing to the virus in isolation because family and friends aren't allowed to be nearby. And, you know, we can pray for the healthcare staff there who can make that journey as pleasant as possible when they have no one else. So yeah, lots of prayer required there for the workplace, for both people, staff, and, you know, resources. And, you know, one thing that is concerning us as GPs at the moment is medication supply. And, you know, if this virus does go to the worst level, we are going to be short on end-of-life medications. And, you know, without things like that, without those resources, we are going to really, really struggle. So just pray that we you know, those resources are provided for us so that we can make people's last days as comfortable as possible, or to treat people, you know, who can be treated. So yeah, just pray for all that really. And then the other thing I'd like prayer for is just, I guess my family. Simon is still very busy with work, and it's a bit ironic really because he's still very busy now and he will be for the next 3 months, but once this all settles down and possibly kids are back in school, that's when his work will drop off. So he's just trying to juggle at the moment, children as well, because obviously I'm working a lot more. And I think as a working mum, you always feel guilty. I think any working mum would say the same. You feel like you can't give 100% at work, you can't give 100% at, you know, at home, and you constantly feel guilty for workplace, for the kids, for husband. So just, you know, pray for my family and all the other families out there that are struggling in the same situation, really.
Jo, thank you so much for taking time out with us this morning and chatting to us. Just to say, this will, for everyone out there, you know, if you can pray for Jo, her GP practice, those that she's caring for in her local community, I'm sure you would really appreciate that. And just to let you know, you are in our thoughts and you are in our prayers. And yeah. Bless you.
Thank you.
For those who want to know, there should be a link on YouTube now, so you can listen to Jo's chosen worship song, which is "The Lord's My Shepherd." And maybe as that song plays, you can be praying for Jo and the various GPs and that kind of those prayer requests that she's asked for. Take care, St. Peter's. God bless. Bye bye.